What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and today I'm going to go over a slight obsession I have in WoW, add-ons. For those who have been a part of the channel in the past or have watched my other videos, you'll know I have an awesome add-on series, where I go over various add-ons that I've used in the past, or am currently using, or things I just stumble across that I think might be kinda cool to share with you guys. Well, there was a time like 6 or 8 years ago that I really didn't like add-ons. And back then, all I would use was like Recount or Skada maybe, or something like that, just because Rogue and DPS, you know? Well, one of the first add-ons I ever picked up outside of those damage meters was MoveAnything. And honestly, if you're not using it and you have the standard UI, or you aren't using like an all-encompassing thing like LVUI or LUI or Tuck UI, then this video will hopefully show you why you would want to try it out. So hopefully this moving video will move you to try MoveAnything, and I'll save you from any more puns and I'll roll the intro. So MoveAnything is a pretty simple add-on in concept, but is overwhelmingly useful in practice. As the name suggests, MoveAnything is an add-on that lets you move anything that is a part of the standard UI system of World of Warcraft. I'll leave a link to a download via CurseForge in a comment below for you to try it out yourself. Once you've installed MoveAnything, accessing it is very simple. Just type /move in your chat and you'll see a little UI box pop up for MoveAnything. It's an exceptionally robust add-on and can be a bit overwhelming if you dive in head first, so I'll do my best to give you a basic rundown of how this add-on works and why it's so great. As you can see from this UI menu, basically every possible menu and panel in the standard World of Warcraft UI is able to be adjusted in a plethora of ways, so you exceptionally OCD people like myself can move every last quest box, loot pop-up, and dialogue prompt to whatever exact position you could ever want. The menus are separated out in alphabetical order and in a pretty logical manner, so for instance anything involving quests or achievements is in the same drop-down menu, or class-specific features, or loot options. There are of course a wide variety of options you can change, so I'll give you a couple examples of how the add-on works and a few things I use it for. Probably one of the smallest yet most important things I use MoveAnything for is to move my buff and debuff tracking down from the top right corner of the screen, where it normally is for whatever insane reason they decided to put it up there, to something closer to my unit frames. Doing this is as simple as scrolling down to the unit player section of MoveAnything, and then clicking on the mover checkbox for player buffs default. As you can see, I've already adjusted this so there is a reset button available too, which will allow me to just automatically set the UI back to how it was originally if I ever wanted to. Clicking on the mover box will make this small gray box show up, and if I click and drag this, it will allow me to position my buffs anywhere on the screen that I choose to. If I click, hold, and drag one of these black boxes on the edges of that gray box, it will change the scale of the UI images. However, that is a pretty imprecise method of changing the scale of your images. If you want a much more precise method of changing them, simply click on the name box for player buffs default in the MoveAnything UI, and it will bring up a much more elaborate system of positioning and scaling your UI elements to be precisely where you want for the exceptionally OCD players out there. And after making this video, I'm sure I'll be spending a couple hours repositioning everything I show and move for that exact reason. In this UI element, you can set the exact X and Y coordinates on your screen for anything you want to move, as well as the scale and opacity via the alpha channel setting. This advanced UI setup will also allow you to enable and disable elements of the UI via the enabled or hidden options at the top section here. The strata option allows you to basically change where the UI element will show up in the foreground or background, so you can kind of think of it like the layer system in Photoshop or GIMP or any other image manipulation software you might use. I generally don't alter that, but if you want, you can always change certain elements of your UI to be visible when you change this layer option. You can also import and export settings with MoveAnything, although I personally haven't used this feature myself, though it seems as simple as how you use it with WeakOrs, as you can choose a from string option. If you don't want to go too crazy in-depth, then by all means you don't have to go into this advanced UI option, as I generally don't use it much myself, and MoveAnything is robust enough that you can work with just the movers and hiders on the main UI panel to do whatever you need. Though if you like to be precisely fine-tuned on your setup, then you might want to dig into it a little bit. A great example of one thing that always drove me nuts about the standard UI is that damned pop-up talking head thing that shows up in the middle of dungeons and quests, and if you use the standard UI setup, then it's not generally a big issue. However, if you use anything other than what is stock with the game, then this panel will get in the way and is super obnoxious. To move and scale it, simply use the search command bar at the bottom of MoveAnything's UI and look up the word talking. Doing this will show the quest talking head frame as an option, which you can move, scale, or even hide if you want to. This is one of the biggest reasons I needed this add-on, as that stupid UI pop-up would always get in the way of my weak auras and buff trackers and was just such a pain, especially when it would bug out and keep showing up repeatedly even after I closed the UI menu for it. There are of course dozens upon dozens of other things you can use this add-on for, such as moving your quest trackers, loot pop-ups, miscellaneous UI menus, and so much more. Due to all this convenience, I really recommend giving this add-on a shot if you haven't used it before. While there are many add-ons that I love and couldn't imagine playing without, MoveAnything is one of those unsung heroes that's always there in the background and helps immensely, but it isn't quite as flashy as, say, Opie or Nug Combo Bar or Weak Auras or anything like that. However, I couldn't imagine making my own custom UI that I have that you guys see all the time without using MoveAnything. If you decide to use it, then seriously, I can't be at fault for the amount of hours you'll spend scaling every last little bit of your UI down to the exact precision that you want. Seriously, it'll suck up a lot of time if you decide to do it. I hope this video is helpful to you though, and if so then, maybe consider leaving a comment or a like or sharing this video with other folks that might find it handy. I'd also like to take this time to thank all of my regular viewers, commenters, subscribers, and especially my patrons, who all help make these Shiba Shenanigans possible. Thank you all so much for watching. This was the Red Rogue, and I'll see you guys around.